Okay, hey, what's going on? In this video, I'm going to show you how the HYROS call script works. It's an extremely easy pitch. It's usually a no-brainer. I close it almost 100% with this, and so it's actually not even that hard to explain. So, how the pitch works is we're going to get the person on a call. We're going to confirm some of their stats and metrics, and then basically what we'll do is we're going to dig into their business and find the places where they're losing money or are leaving a lot of money on the table, or could be doing significantly better, and basically turn that money into an actual number. So, all right, you could scale 20% further if you could actually see which ads of yours are actually generating your sales. And oh boy, if you're making $2,000, or if you're spending $2,000 a month on ads and you're doing a 2x ROI, man, if we get that another $200, it's going to make you another $600 per month. Usually we do have much larger deals where the people are spending $100,000 a month, and if we can go and scale you, let's say $20,000 a month, that's an extra $40,000 a month in your pocket right there. Then most of the time, a lot of these companies have wasted ad spend, and so we can go, oh man, you're wasting 10 to 15% of your ad spend. If you're spending $100,000 a month, that's $10 to $15,000 a month. Just out the gate right here, we have almost $45,000, $50,000 in gain and loss that was just on the table right here we should be getting. And so that's what we're going to do, and we're going to really tally up a number before we actually get to showing them the software, so that we have an actual, this is costing you this much, and there's this much on the table right now if you just fix these damn things. And then we're going to show them some very specific things that fix these things. And then once we've gone and shown them all these things, we're basically going to ask them, you know, does this fix all your problems? What's your favorite thing about it? Do you see yourself using this? And if yes, do you want to get started? And at this point, we unload the pitch. And that's the summary of how everything works. We cause pain while attaching an actual dollar amount to it. We show them the problems, and then basically say, man, you could make an extra $20,000 this month. You could save an extra $15,000. And we basically get a dollar value that is very reasonable, that is so much more than the cost of the software. And then we show us fixing those problems, and me literally fixing those problems and having even better results fixing those problems, more than a 20% increase, more than a 10 to 15% cost and saving. Now, we have preloaded everything in the dashboard for you. You're just going to load up the same dates. You're going to use the same times. We have a deck that will show you all of our customer testimonials. And so it's going to be pretty simple. So let's go through the entire pitch start to finish. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to intro yourself. Hey, what's up? How's it going? I'm going to dive straight into it if you don't mind. Then what we need to do is we want to confirm stats and plugin ability. The most important thing we need to do is, sometimes people fill out their stats wrong. So when we go and start the call, we need to go and look at their numbers. So we want to get their ballpark, their rough, how much they're spending on paid traffic, and then we want to get the ROI on that paid traffic so that we have a number. So for example, when I talk about how much ad spend they're wasting, I'm going to use that ad spend number that they gave me, and then when they talk about their ROI and we talk about how much they would make if they scaled 20% further, I'm going to say, oh man, you're at $20,000 a month. Well, if you scale another 20%, that's $4,000. That'd make you another $4,000 a month. If you're at 100% ROI right here, that's an extra $44,000 a year, $48,000 a year. You see that? Okay. So the other thing we're going to do is also make sure we can plug into them. So we're going to ask them, you know, what systems do they use? You're not going to know all the systems right off the bat, but you'll know them after you come on board, so we're not really going to address that. So we need to make sure we can plug into them as well, and we understand what they're selling. Are they doing a webinar? Are they doing an e-commerce store? Are they doing just an info product funnel? Like, what are they doing, so we understand that we can track it, and that we actually understand that the details of what they're doing. The first thing we need to do is we need to establish what their problem is. So what I'm going to do first off, I'm going to say how many sales out of 100 get tracked back to the ad set or audience, to the ad that you ran. So we need to figure out how big their problem is. Some people have tracking that's off by 50%. Some people think they're seeing 90% tracking accuracy. If they're seeing 90% tracking accuracy, these are usually the people we're not going to close because they don't really have a problem. Okay? And also ask if they are using another tracking platform. Now, the only other tracking platform they're ever going to be using is going to be Wicked Reports. The way we counter this is we just show them the terrible reviews of Wicked Reports, which I'll provide for you, and all the customers have left us from there. So I'm not going to focus too much on that, but we need to establish what their problem is. Usually it's going to be 30 to 40%. So at this point, I'm going to simply ask them, all right, what's the pain here? What's the problem? Why did you hop on this call? What are you having trouble tracking? And how is it stopping you from growing your business? That's the question. What are you having trouble tracking, and how is it stopping you from growing your business? Because we want to find out what's really important to them, because then we're going to know what to tap into. A lot of times people are just going to say, man, I can't see what ads of mine are winners, so I can't scale. Sometimes they'll say we can't see crisscrossing between the businesses. We can't see certain things happening. We can't see if sales are coming from AdWords, Google, Facebook, or Instagram, and that's one pain point we usually see as well. So we know what to focus on. After they've told us what their pain point is, we're just going to simply ask them a few questions. So how is this affecting your scaling is the first question we're going to ask them. They're going to say, well, I can't see which ones are winners. I'm going to say certain things like, all right, well, do you think you're probably turning off ads that are actually making you a lot of money because you can't see ads? Do you think there's a lot of ads that look like they're breaking even, that are actually making you money that you're turning off? Does it make betting on ads when you don't know exactly which ones are winning, does it make it hard? They're usually going to say, yeah. And I'd say, well, I mean, if we could fix this, how much further could you scale? Is 20% a reasonable number? Nothing huge, just 20%. And it's very important that we agree on a reasonable number here. It's so important as we go through this pitch that every single time we come up with a number, we make them agree with the number, and we even cut it in half if we want, because the number's always going to be way more than the software. It's always going to be way more than the software, so it doesn't matter. So if they're like kind of like, I don't know about 20%, be like, what about 10%? You know, and then just find a number that you both agree on, and just say, look, I don't want to deal with any crazy numbers here. I just want to find reasonable baseline numbers that we could shoot for right here that you think are super reasonable. Is that super reasonable? And make them say, yes, that's super reasonable. Next, do you think this is leading to wasted ad spend? For example, if they have multiple traffic sources, we're going to say a lot of times Facebook takes credit for sales that Google is doing. They take credit for sales that are happening on Instagram. So that's a major problem, because what's going to happen is Facebook is going to say certain ad campaigns are super profitable. You're going to spend money on them, and the sales aren't coming from Facebook, and you're just losing all that money. If they have a lot of crisscrossing, they're going to have that problem every single time. Now, you can see in their form whether they have crisscrossing or not. You know, what's the ad source? Facebook, Google. All right. If they don't have a lot of crisscrossing, most people in the sub 100,000 a month don't have that much crisscrossing. It's the bigger brands that have mass amounts of crisscrossing. So if they don't have massive amount of crisscross, just say, do you find yourself leaving campaigns on that could go either way, or not clearly profitable, could actually be losing money? Do you find yourself kind of like guessing on campaigns whether they're working or not? They're usually going to say yes at that point. Say, well, is it reasonable to think that you could be spending 10 to 15% on campaigns that just aren't ever going to work out and are actually mega losers for you? Maybe the credit's going to different ads. Maybe they're just, maybe the sales aren't just getting reported and you're not confident to turn them off. A lot of times they're going to say, yeah, no, I totally do that all the time. And say, is it fair to say that 10 to 15% of ad spend is probably being wasted here? Is that super reasonable? We'll say yes. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to ask them, all right, are you pushing this data back to Google or Facebook to train your Pixel AI to find customers better? It's a confusing question. Basically, we're asking them if they're doing offline conversions and pushing it back over there. Most people are not. You say, well, how is Facebook and AdWords getting a good picture of who your customer is if they're missing the sale 40% of the time? I say, I don't know. I say, well, you can push this data back to Facebook and AdWords with HYROS, and I'll actually increase your conversions usually like 10%. Would that be huge? Like, would you make a lot more money in that case? I'm going to say, yeah, that'd be absolutely huge. Yeah, and you'd be like, yeah, that's 10% more sales just by default. You're doing 30,000 a month right now. That's like, again, just 3,000 extra just by turning a button on. Then finally, are long-term sales important to you? Can you see them? No one ever can see their long-term sales. It's the LTV of their customer base. It's if a person joins if a person buys a product today, it's how much they're going to spend with them over the next 6 months. A lot of times they're going to, some businesses like e-commerce stores are going to say, no, that's not important to me. That's not important to me. I don't care. I only do one-off sales. But most brands have a lot of repeat sales and they have no idea where those are coming from. So they're going to be like, man, no, I have no idea. And I say, look, if you knew your ads were actually 6 times more profitable than they actually are, do you think you'd be a lot more aggressive with ads? They say, go, yeah, definitely. I said, well, you'd be able to scale like another 10 to 20% as well too, right? They say, yeah, and say, that's a little bit more of an intangible number, but do you see how much more money you could make if you were playing the long-term game with the huge ROI numbers you probably have, you just can't see? They'd say yes. So at this point right here, we have a big list of fixes. They're not able to scale, and it's costing them money. They're not able to turn off loser ads, it's costing them money. They don't have the data past to Google and Facebook, it's costing them money. They can't see their LTV, so they're not able even to play the real game of marketing. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to let my videos do the talking right here when you watch the sales videos, but we're just going to show them the same exact process every single time. So what you need to do before you begin the close is you need to go load up a few dates in HYROS that are just really perfect examples of everything we just talked about. I'm even going to give you access to my AdWords account, though it's not necessarily needed as much these days because we can actually show the stats inside of HYROS. Now, we actually have a feature coming up that's going to make it so you don't have to load up before the call, but sometimes these calculations take time, so you want to have them loaded up before you start the call so you're not loading up in the call. Also, in very rare instances, the dev team will push an update or something, and then it will cause it to load for a while. And if that happens, then it just looks really bad in the call. So you want to have these all loaded up before the call is done. So then what you're also going to do is you're going to go into AdWords and pull up these dates. So it's going to be June 18th and 19th. And I'll have these listed in the script. So here's what we're going to show them. The first thing we're going to show them is me clearly being able to spot clear winners. So if we come down here, two good examples right here. So if you look at this SEO intent audience right here, I spent $268. I did $2,000 cash back. Google reported that I did no sales. And so what we're going to do is we're going to load up this board and say, hey, look, obviously we can't load up our clients' boards and their stats. That would be, we don't want to share our clients' information ever. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you these results inside of Alex's account. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you tons of businesses just like yours getting the exact same result Alex is. Does that work? Okay. So we're going to show them me first here. I'm spending $268 right here. I'm doing a 600% ROI right here, and AdWords is telling me to turn it off. Then we can scroll down right here to converter sales right here. I got a $3,000 payment plan right here. AdWords reported no sales. And so you want to point out to them, you know, these two audiences right here are making Becker a 500 to 600% ROI, and he's spending about $200 or $300 a day right here and about $200 a day right here. If he turned off those campaigns, he's taking his income offline. He's stopping about $3,000 in sales a day. That's about $60,000 to $90,000 a month he wouldn't be making if he had just turned off these campaigns that the ad platform was telling him to turn off. Do you think you're doing this with your campaigns? And the person's going to go, yeah, probably, I think so. And you say, yeah, definitely, because if we go and look at what AdWords actually report these days, it only caught 6 high-ticket sales of Becker's. It only caught 6 $2,000 sales. If you actually look inside of HYROS, there was 22 high-ticket sales. There was $44,000 in sales, and AdWords only caught 12, and it's telling him to turn off his most profitable campaigns. If you are, by default, if you want to scale, the rule number one is don't turn off campaigns that are getting you huge ROIs, and that's exactly what you're doing if you're not able to see which campaigns are your clear winners. You're going to say, wow, that's huge. So the next thing you're going to do is when you load up this campaign, you want to pump this out to 100 results before it loads up. Because if you load up, if you do the 100 results as I'm filming this right now, it will actually glitch it out if you have it loaded up for like an hour in advance. But that's fine. It's something where actually you'll probably be fixed before you even are doing this. So the next thing we're going to do is say, all right, now we're going to scroll down. Now look at all these loser campaigns right here. This is really before we had refined, or when Becker had just started using HYROS. And you can see right here, he's losing $500, $250 a day right here, $150 a day right here, $500 a day right here on these audiences. And these are audiences that had worked really well from the past, but he was leaving on because he wasn't sure they were losing because he couldn't see the sales. But you can see right here, these campaigns right here combined are losing him probably about $2,000 a day, about $60,000 a month just completely lit on fire. And so what Becker did is he actually went and saw, all right, I'm spending about $7,000 a day right here, and I'm getting all these sales. I'm getting about 9 to 11 sales a day. So why don't I just go and turn off these loser campaigns and invest in these campaigns? And so what he actually did first, he was able to reduce his ad spend from around $7,000 to $6,500, $7,000-ish a day to $4,000 a day while still maintaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the same amount of sales that he was before. The same amount of sales. And now when you go and actually look at his campaigns he's losing money on, you scroll down, keep it at about 50 right here because the best examples are right here. You say, look, now he's only losing at $50, $58 a day on campaigns when he's testing them out and trying new campaigns. And so just like that, he was able to give himself a $60,000 per month raise while also keeping the campaigns that, if they had been turned off, would have given him a $90,000 per month demotion. You see it right there? Just if this could have gone both ways. He could have turned off those campaigns that were being reported as duds, kept those other campaigns on, and he's making $150,000 less a month than he should have. They're going to say, "Wow, that's ridiculous." So then what you're going to do is going to say, now here's the cool thing too, AdWords didn't catch any of this, so it's not able to optimize around this. So we can simply go into our settings area and flip a little tab, and then we're going to start pushing it back over there, and AdWords will start optimizing around this much more accurate data, which will make it so that, hey, this is going to be way more accurate now because it can actually go and find the customers for us. It can go and actually locate the customers, and it knows what they look like. So this will, again, go out there and make your conversions much higher. We see that with all of our clients when they go and finally turn it on. You can also do that with Facebook as well. So the next thing you're going to do is you also need to have this search loaded up in this account. I'll give you all the accounts to log into, and we're going to show them the LTV functionality if it was important to them. If it wasn't important to them, we're just going to start going to the close at this point. So you're going to say, all right, now look, one of the coolest things about this as well is Becker actually ran this lead gen campaign, and we're able to see the LTV of the customers, aka everything they bought, going back to March. And if we come over here and we flip over the LTV board to 3 months, you're going to see on this one campaign right here, this is probably what's happening in your business. Now, this is an extreme example because Becker didn't sell anything up front. He was just doing lead gen. He was able to go and spend $24,000, and since then, the campaign has made him $101,000. It just takes time for the customers to get nurtured and buy. And so we can easily see by week 5 that his customers, he's 3xing his money on the ad spend because it was usually costing about $4.90 to get a lead in. And if you look at this right here, this campaign's printing money. It just takes time. It's like a stock investment. You know it's always going to pay a 3x ROI. And more importantly, we can isolate it down to the ad audiences are actually making up most of the sales. Like this ad audience right here is the best one LTV buys. And then this ad audience right here doesn't buy anything over 6 months. They don't do anything. And so you can see that this will actually show us, oh man, if you really want to make a killing, you need to be focusing only on this audience. And your ads right here, you think you might be making a 25, 50%, 100% ROI. You're actually probably making a 600% ROI over 6 months. And so at this point in time, we're going to ask them, you know, does everything I just showed you, does that fix all the problems we talked about? They said, yeah. I said, well, I mean, we agreed before that if you scaled 20% further, you know, that would make you an extra $20,000 a month, or do like a year. All right, just use those numbers that we talked about. If you're at $20,000 a month and they're making a 100% ROI, they scale 20% further. That's $4,000 spent more. That's another $4,000 a month coming in a month. That's an extra $48,000 a year, Michael, or whatever the name is. And then also, you know, is that still super reasonable? They're going to say, yeah. And I say, all right, cool. And then also, we still can see that you saw Becker was actually wasting way more than 10% of his ad spend. But at that $20,000 per month you're spending right here, you know, is it fair to say that you're probably wasting still about $2,000 a month? They say, yes. And say, well, I mean, this is a $60,000 per year problem for you. And so do you see how this would be absolutely huge if you actually were getting the same exact results Becker's getting right here? And I say, yeah, that would be absolutely huge for my business. And you say, what's your favorite thing about it? And so have them tell you their favorite thing about the software, just getting a little bit more on board. And then have them say, do you see yourself using this to fix your LTV? Do you see yourself using this to scale your ads? They're going to say yes. And you say, well, do you want to get started? And at this point, we unload the pitch. So the pitch is actually really easy. So first thing you're going to say is, look, all right, at HYROS, the way we operate right now is we like to work with every client on an individual basis. So we have a done-for-you service. And we only take on people who take the done-for-you service because we'd like to make sure every single person gets incredible results because our business is completely about results. And so what this is a full, complete setup and tracking optimization. But what we're going to do for you is exactly what we've done for all these businesses right here. And I said I'd tell you other businesses getting the same result as Becker. You can see this info marketer right here. He's doing over 100,000 a month. We were able to go and spot about 50% in ad attribution tracking. Here's a Shopify store with 50% ad attribution completely messed up. And I'm going to make a separate video for the close and the objections and everything. I want to walk you through the pitch. Say this guy right here was having the same exact problems as the Shopify store. Here's a campaign right here. It was a total dud. It was being reported as a total dud. It was doing a 200% ROI. Here's another Shopify store. Their ad tracking was off by about 40% on AdWords. Here's another one right here. This person's running an info product funnel. Their tracking was off by 46%. Harlan right here. I'm seriously impressed by the trackability. Their business is doing $4 to $5 million a year. Right? And they were actually on Wicked Reports, and they came over to us because Wicked Reports couldn't cut it for them. Peter right here, he has a multi-six-figure webinar. We were able to get his webinar to almost 100% tracking accuracy, the same exact thing you saw Becker did. Here's another story right here. I usually spend $10,000 a day. In the last 2 days, 70% of my sales completely dropped. HYROS was literally able to spot this for me. You were literally flying blind without HYROS. And if you look at these results, these are the typical results, which is why you see big, huge brands like Lady Boss. Here's our code on their site. They're using us. You're going to see Tony Robbins and Dean Grisoli's webinar. Here's our code on their pages. You even see on Grant Cardone's site, here's our pages right here. And the reason why you see this on so many big brands is because this is just typical everyday results. This isn't something you should like hope for. This is just something that's going to happen. So you're getting the exact same thing. So what we're going to do for you is this. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up everything for you. Now, you can do it yourself. It's actually very easy to do as well. But we'll set up everything for you. We'll set it up on all of your ads, and we'll help create any type of tracking setups that you want. So if there's anything in particular you want to see, we'll help you make that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to watch your stats to ensure accuracy. So honestly, Becker and his assistants are going to be watching your stats to make sure that the tracking is super accurate, and if there's any holes, we're going to fill those holes. And usually if you have a complicated business, it takes a while sometimes to find holes in the business. So we're going to find all the holes and gaps and weird things that are going on with your ads and then fill those for you. And then we're going to find the best tracking attribution model for your business. Some people need to go off of first click, some need to go off last click. We'll analyze your stats and determine exactly which ones are best for you. Then we're going to dig in and find the ad waste for you. So the first thing we're going to do is Becker and his staff are going to literally just jump in, look at your ads and say, all right, where are you wasting money? Where are you losing money? And then we're just going to point it out for you. And just by turning off these ads, we usually see clients save 5 to 6 figures in instant savings. Okay, instant savings. For example, if a person is spending $100,000 a month and then we save them $10,000 a month in savings, they're saving $100,000 a year in ads. Then what we're going to do is Becker and his assistants are going to go in and find where you're under-reporting at. And they're going to say, all right, look, these ads right here are absolutely making you a killing, but AdWords isn't reporting them or Facebook isn't reporting them. And so what we need to do is we need to go in and we need to find out, you know, where can we reinvest this money? Where can we grow this at? And we're going to find the places where you can scale and point them out to you. So not only will we save you money right away, we'll show you to start scaling right away. We'll spot it for you. Then finally, we're going to spot key opportunities. We might spot a lot of things with your traffic or how your business is working in LTV mode and some of the ways we're looking at it to say like, wow, there's a huge opportunity right here if we market more to this audience, or a lot of people are clicking here first and then buying over here, so you definitely don't want to turn this off. And so we'll go and find the essential business growth strategies for you. And finally, what we'll then and we'll even save the reports for you. This is something we're going to be adding here real soon. I just want to throw it in there. We'll save the reports for you so that you can just log in and click and you see your best reports right away. And then what we're going to do is we're going to enable the pixel tracking to go and get pushed back to Google or in Facebook so that your conversions boost up right away. And just like that, your pixels got smarter. And now that your pixels are working with accurate data, they're going to get a lot more conversions. They're going to be a lot better at finding customers. And then we have a full training on how to use HYROS. We're going to turn it over to you at this point, though you'll be able to access it, the entire team. But you also still have this done-for-you team to help you with anything. And we can do as little as you want or as much as you want. It's totally up to you. Does that sound cool to you? Okay, sure. All right, well, here's exactly how it works. We can get started right now. There's a 10-day maximum setup time, so usually we can get people plugged in almost same day, but we like to just say, hey, there's going to be about 10 days setup time. So here's the plans, and so here's how this will work. And then we're going to go and offer them one of 3 different offers. So if they're spending sub $50,000 a month, usually, we're just going to require them to pay $2K up front. Okay, and I actually want to get this to a year up front. That's the pitch I'm going to be running today. But we're going to ask them for $2,000 up front with a $497 setup fee. If there's any kind of resistance, say, all right, look, if you get in today, I'll waive the setup fee because you're a really good fit, and I think this would be a great testimonial. And I'm just looking at how you described it, this is such an easy win. So I'll waive the setup fee. And so we use the setup fee to get them to close on the call. Okay? Now, if they're doing $50,000 a month plus, or they're making a lot of money off their ad spend. So you're going to see a lot of people that have like 20,000 a month with like 5x ROIs. If we want to look at how much the business is making. So if they're doing over 50,000 a month, we're going to offer them $997 a month plus $497 setup fee. I'm really going to actually start trying to sell this for 3 months up front, so we can just get $3,000 in up front plus a $497 setup fee. Okay. Again, we're going to waive the setup fee to get them on board. If they're doing over 100K a month, we're going to do $1,497 a month plus a $497 setup fee. If they're doing over 300K a month, we're going to do $2,000 a month plus a $497 setup fee. Okay. And I'll make another video talking about the objections, but this is exactly how the pitch works. Very easy. Confirm, point out the pain, attach the pain to a number, show them us fixing every part of the pain, and then use that number to say, look, if we fix this, that number that we talked about before, you're going to be making that. It's just on the table right now. And then we unload the pitch, showing them results of customers very similar to them and some of our powerhouse customers. And then we're going to break down what we're going to do to them in a very over-exaggerated way. And then we're going to get them on board. Okay? So this is how the pitch works.